Okay, so that's SUMARI Dark Arts 136. So today I'm gonna have a little bit of a backstory as to what was going on with me in this last space, this gap between videos. As you all know who follow me, my last video was 124 or 123, I believe. Let me look it up real quick. And that was in Yeah, it was video 123, and I was talking about lucid dream classes and training in non-physical reality. Now, that video was posted on May 20th, 2021. So, to give a bit of context, what was going on at that time in the world? We had the infamous coronavirus was going on. And that was a very strange time, man. It was a very crazy time in the world because everyone was basically losing their shit at that time. And understandably so. There were a lot of things going on, but some people may have went a bit overboard. And to some degree, I can understand that too, but yeah. Now, let me make it very clear, right? This video is not, the purpose of it is not to criticize whether the corona vaccine was good, was it bad, was it poison, was it not poison, should we have gotten it, should we not have gotten it. I'm going to talk about where my stance was at the time. So I stand by, when Corona was going on, nobody really knew what was going on. Let's be honest. There were all these conflicting things coming out from the WHO. You had wear a mask, don't wear a mask, wear 3 masks, wear 50 masks. People have, I mean, you should have seen some of the stuff that was going on around the world. You probably have. I've seen it over here. I've seen people on the train with 3 masks on their face and 1 on top of their head. Like, I don't know what the hell was going on, but people were just losing it, man. People were really going crazy. And this was a time that, see, it all comes back to, well, it comes back to a lot of things, actually. You know, I remember getting reports from my younger brother who was in college at the time, and he was showing me things online where they were saying, like, college students are feeling suicidal, they want to kill themselves, and and all this stuff. And what was going on was that, and I don't know if I talked about this back then, and I can't remember, but I'll go back into it. For the first time on a global scale, it was a recent event globally that we all experienced at one time, right? A lot of times we have issues that go on in this physical reality, whether they be wars or certain viruses, but it's always an isolated event, right? Nobody really cares. Like, people care, but let's be honest, most people generally, they say, oh, that's very sad, oh, I feel sorry for those people, and they get on with their day because it doesn't affect them directly. The same with wars, whether it's the war in Ukraine, it's the war in, whatever country that's going on. People generally just, they care, but to only a certain degree because it's not impacting them directly. This was the first event that was affecting the whole world simultaneously at the same time. So everyone was being impacted. And it was also the first time when we had these global shutdowns where entire cities, entire countries, universities, jobs, everything was being shut down. And fortunately and unfortunately, depending on which side of the fence you fall on, a lot of individuals, this was the first time for them to be alone with their own thoughts. And this scared a lot of people. You have people that will go out and they'll do bars and they'll go drinking and they'll do all these things and they'll go to events and they'll go skydiving, they'll jump off of they'll jump off of an airplane, they'll bungee jump, they'll deep sea diving with sharks, they'll do all these things that are very life threatening for, you know, for fun, I guess, or maybe they're adrenaline junkies or thrill seekers. But when they have to stay alone with their own thoughts, people bug out. And they did bug out. And you've seen this. People were just going insane because they never had, people were on this kind of daily ritual or schedule where they were locked in. It was like, hey, wake up, go to work, Friday night, get some drinks with friends, go over here, go to a party, go to a nightclub, and you kind of like set on this cycle of the same thing every week. And for the first time, they had to actually sit down and sit in the home with themselves or with family members who they probably didn't give a lot of private time with. And You heard all type of stories coming out. People hated their husbands, they hated their wives, they hated their kids, they hated their jobs. People were quitting jobs. Like, people were just quitting jobs. They were just walking off of work. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. I quit. It's like, okay, but do you have another job lined up? Like, no, I don't care. And people were just going in all different directions. So I'll touch on that in another video probably. But coming back to me, so my feeling about the corona vaccine was always like this. I didn't care. Corona never scared me. And for anybody who knows me personally, they know I'm not lying. It just didn't scare me. It was just this thing that was going on. And I never once felt, oh, I'm gonna die, something's gonna happen. It was just, yeah, man, just things going on. And, I just went about my daily life. Now, you see in all these other events where people were literally lost their lives during corona, not because of the virus or for violence, because people were like, oh, you're not wearing a mask, MF, you better. People were shooting people, stabbing people, not necessarily in Japan, but I heard about this going on back home in New York. And but in Japan, people were fighting also. People on the train, if someone came on the train and didn't have on a mask, you seen like everyone staring at them. Some people even were openly criticized. It was just madness, man. And for me, I was in the camp of I didn't care. I wore a mask when it was necessary. If I went into an establishment and they said, "Hey, you got to wear a mask," I was like, "Okay," I put the mask on. I didn't become confrontational. I wasn't like, "Oh, I'm not wearing a mask." It was just like, "All right, man, whatever." Put the mask on, and as soon as I left the store, I took it off. When I got on the train, if the train was empty and no one was on it, I didn't have a mask on. If people came on the train in large crowds, I put it on because I didn't want the conflict and people talking to me. So that's where I stood at. Now, as far as getting the vaccine, that was a whole nother thing, right? That was a whole conflict. People were fighting vaccine versus no vaccine. You had people getting divorces. If you don't get the vaccine, I'm getting a divorce. You're not my son. If you don't get the vaccine, you're a terrorist. You're killing people. It was just insane. For me, it was very simple. I have family back in New York. And my whole thought process was, because I was listening to what was going on with the airports and everything, and you would hear stories like you couldn't get on a flight unless you had a vaccine. You couldn't get on a flight unless you had double doses of the vaccine and not just the first one. So I thought of that because I had family that worked in healthcare and they were around all this stuff, and I had elderly family members and family members that were sick. I didn't want a situation to come up where someone became sick, someone passed away, and I was unable to get to them as soon as possible from Japan because of some airport issues. Oh, sorry, sir, you don't have a vaccine. You got to wait now. The next vaccine schedule is 3 months from now and all of that. I didn't want to deal with all of that. So for those of you who know me and been following me for a long time, or those in my personal life, you already know my views on death. We're not, well, that's a whole nother video. What I was going to say is that you're already dead. I'll leave that for later. But anyway, back to the story. So for me, it was more of, I didn't care. I wasn't afraid. It was what it was. But I understood that, as I said before, even though we're in a physical reality, we still have to follow the rules of physical reality. Now, when I say rules, calm down. I hear people say, "Oh my God, he said there's no choice to get the vaccine." That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the rules of the airport. I could have denied the vaccine and said, "Well, I'm not taking it," but you can't control. Some things are just out of your control. And as much as I believe how powerful I am, and I know how powerful I am, I'm a multi-dimensional being, and all this stuff, what do I always say? You're still bound by rules and the reality that you're in. And for me, the reality was, and the rules in this reality were, no one was letting me get on the airplane unless I had a vaccine if something were to happen. So I got the vaccine on. So if you go back, look at the last video, right? Where did I say? The last video was posted on May 20th, 2021. Now, you guys know I take breaks with videos a lot, but sometimes, well, not usually, I come back around the summertime, especially in the summertime. I love summer. I want to get out, do a video, stand up somewhere else, have a seat. So I had planned to come back, right? That was in May. I was like, all right, well, I'm taking a break now. I'll kick it back in the summertime and have some information for everyone. Fast forward from May, right? So we got May, June, July, August. We're in August now. August 2nd, I'm looking at it here, is when I had got the um the first vaccine. And like many people, the first vaccine was fine, okay, whatever. Just had a little bit of arm pain. It was nothing. And then a short period later, you get the second one. Now, this is where the story goes crazy. Up to this point, powers were working, abilities were working, traveling, doing all the stuff that we talk about on this channel. And before I get into this part of what happened, the one thing that everybody has something that they cherish in life, right? Everyone has something that they value, whether it's morals, values, whatever. For me, the one thing that I personally value that's deep to my heart, deep to my soul, deep to me, is my abilities of what I can do and what we talk about on this channel, what I try to help you get to if you're not there yet. It's more valuable to me than anything. I wouldn't trade all the money in the world for it because it's something unique. It's who I am, it's who we are, it's who you are. And these are abilities and talents that I built through years of perseveration and just really pushing my mind, pushing my consciousness to the limit. And there is no limit, so that's the fun part about it. You could just keep pushing it. But whatever limit that people imagine there are, I've broken them, I've passed them, and I'm still going forward. And so can you. So it's one of the most important things to me, right? Because it's who I am. Now, so I get the second vaccine, right? And it starts off, oh yeah, okay, I got the second vax, no problem. Nighttime comes, the fever starts. It's very small at first, it's like okay. And then it starts getting higher and higher and higher and higher, and then it's like just past the records or whatever is normal. And from that point forward, I took a week off from work. I spent the next 5 days, on the floor, not moving. If I had to go to the restroom, I literally was crawling. I was crawling on all four, hands and knees, crawling to the toilet, to the bathroom. I had no strength to even lift myself up. I had to gather all my strength. Did what I had to do, crawled back to my position on the floor. And these are the things that I went through. It was, they talk about, oh, the coronavirus is horrible. Look, I never had corona, and I'm sure it's tough for people who've had it. But let me tell you this. What the vaccine did to me was something out of this. It was in a whole nother reality that I've never experienced in my life. I was 5 days on the floor. I had to have all the lights off. All the lights had to be off in the house, or where I was at least in the room I was at. All the lights had to be out because if I even had a small glimpse of light, I would start throwing up violently. The light, like something about the light was disturbing my eyes that would cause me to throw up. I couldn't even look at my smartphone during this time. If I had to force myself to look at it, it was more of I was holding the phone, something like this, and I would have to turn it to almost barely nothing where I couldn't see the light. If even by accident a little bit of light hit my eyes, I'd start throwing up. That wasn't even the worst part. There was a headache that I've never experienced ever. Now, growing up in life, I've always had headaches. It's just something that I have. And, you learn to push through it, endure. You got a headache, you get migraine headaches. You just push through it and get on with your day. This was something on the next generation of headaches that it basically left me immobilized. I was on the floor. The headache was so intense. We've all had pain. And for a person like me who's gone through pain, I'm able to go within. I've talked about that in the last video. You have pain, anything, pain, pleasure, whatever. You're able to tune within, turn within to yourself, your inner landscape, psychological time, and you go into your travels. This is the sad part of the story. Whatever the vaccine did to me, it literally stripped me of all my abilities and powers. It took everything away from me. I couldn't access inner reality. Even just trying to visualize something, trying to go somewhere like I would usually do, I couldn't do it. it was literally locking me into physical reality. I couldn't jump, I couldn't go anywhere mentally. It had me locked in. And for all of my dark artists out there who know what I'm talking about, who are in tune with yourselves, all my travelers, all my multidimensionals out there, all my sets, all my sumaris, you know what I'm talking about when I'm about to say, if you if this has been such a big part of your life, imagine it suddenly being ripped away from you. Words can't describe it. They just can't describe it. And that was the biggest devastation for me, was that, I mean, forget about thinking about I was going to die or I couldn't move. I couldn't stop thinking over and over again, like, what's happening to my abilities? What's going on? I mean, they were gone. They were just gone. I had nothing. I literally had nothing to work with. And I felt like just a shell, man. I felt like an empty shell on the floor. I felt dead. Dead in terms of just, for me, for me, that's death. To have that taken away from me. But we'll get into death in another video. But anyway, so yeah, I went through that for 5 days. I keep track here. I went through that for 5 days, and it was horrible. It was the worst. So after 5 days happened, like I said, I didn't go to work for a week because I think I got it on. I can't remember the date, but whatever it was a week before I went back, and I didn't eat. I lost a lot of weight, and I may have mentioned this in the past. My thing that I used to do on the weekends, my whole life since I was a little boy, growing up in this reality, I take these extremely long baths, and that's where I would do my meditation at a lot. One form of it anyway, and I was doing it over here as well in Japan. It was during the weekends. That one thing that I would look forward to on the weekends. I would get me a nice 2-liter bottle of ice water. I go into the bathroom, have my setup, and I would do 3-hour meditations in the tub. I'd probably do like 1 hour and a half with the lights on, and then 1 hour and a half with the lights off. Sometimes I'll do 3 hours with the lights off, and these were some of my best travels, and where I pulled information from was during this time. So what happened was, overcome the vaccine effects, feeling not 100%, but okay, that ordeal is over. Time to get back to business. Got to make some videos, got to talk to the people out there, got to travel, got to see what's going on in the realms. I got into the tub, shut off the lights, and within 5 minutes, I had this violent, almost like the headache that came from the vaccine came back. It was terrifying. It was like, whoa. And I had to jump out of the tub. After 5 minutes, the headache wouldn't go away. I was throwing up. I was kind of shaking. I was like, what the hell is this, man? And I thought, okay, maybe I'm just not at full power yet. Well, that was... Fast forward, where are we at now? A couple of years ago now? We're in 2026. That was in 2021. So what happened to me from that point, I can no longer do that anymore. I've tried it numerous times for about, I mean, it was an off and on thing, pushing myself every week, every day, every weekend. Then I tried it every day. It was going in the bathtub, same thing, turn off the lights on, have my water. Long story short, I can't do the bathtub thing anymore. That's over. That was completely taken away from me. Whatever happened with the vaccine, I can no longer sit in a bathtub of water for no amount of time. If I get inside a tub, now a shower is fine for some reason. The shower is okay, but if I get into a tub of hot water, within a few minutes, the headache will come back, the extreme migraine, and it doesn't just come back, it can stay for over 2 to 3 days. Yes. So that's what happened with that. Now, as long as I don't get into a hot tub of water, I'll be fine. But if I get into a hot tub of water and try to do my meditations, that's what'll happen. So why did I stop the videos? Well, as I said, I was powerless. I was completely powerless. It took all my powers away. And for me, as I said, I take much pride in everything that I built up, all the powers that I built up, all the abilities I built up, all the travels, everything I take so much pride in. I did not want to get on YouTube and fake it. I didn't want to come back, hey, everybody said SUMARI, said to everybody. And for me, it was just nonsense. I couldn't bring myself to do that. So I said, well, I'm not going to get back on YouTube ever unless I regain not just my abilities back, but I have to regain back more beyond where I was. So I wasn't satisfied just getting it back to where I was. I wanted to go beyond that. So I said, okay, let me keep pushing it. And then I basically went on this whole journey of pushing my consciousness in all types of different ways. Meditation in the cold, meditation in the winter, or I mean, it was a whole thing that I went through. And yeah, it was a very rough time, guys. It was a hard time. And finally, after many years, it took a few years. We're in 2026 now, so right after 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, I would say that things didn't start coming back to me to where I was then until 2025. When we get to 2025 is when I got back to where I was before the vaccine. But then, you guys know me, I'm always pushing it. It wasn't enough. So I thought, well, this is good. I'm finally back to where I want to be. I still can't do the bath thing, but I was able to get back to my travels, my meditations, psychological time. I was able to get back to everything. But it still wasn't enough. I thought, well, since I'm here, I don't want to get back on because I worried that what if I come back, make videos, and I lose it again and all this stuff. You know, like I said, the vaccine really just did a number on me. So I said, you know what? I want to go even deeper. So I started pushing it even more. And yeah, it brought me to this point. And during that time of trying to regain what I was learning a whole bunch of new stuff at the same time. And sometimes they'll say, well, sometimes your greatest fear or danger or threat could be, you know, it's like a good thing for you, basically. So in retrospect, the vaccine helped me. I won't say it helped me, but it basically forced me to push myself into other areas that helped me expand where I was and have a much deeper understanding. But that time was one of the hardest times, man. And my message to all of you is there may come a time in your life where you feel like you've lost your abilities, you lost your skills, and you don't have anymore. And I'm here to tell you that, and this is a very watered down version, I guess, because I'm not going too much in depth, but a lot of things happen, man. But you get the point of the story. It stripped me of all my abilities. I felt I had nothing. I felt I was nothing because for me, this is everything. It's who I am. And from that, yeah, you might encounter the same thing in other parts of your life where you feel like you've lost it or you're losing it. And I'm here to tell you from experience, you can get it back. You're just going to have to push a little bit harder or a lot much harder. And there's nothing wrong with that because there's no limit to our abilities. So there's no plateau, there's no limit. You just keep breaking boundaries. That's one of the specialties that we have, being souls, that we could just push the boundary. There's no upper limit to our abilities. And you just keep breaking boundaries and going deeper and deeper. But yeah, there might come a point you might get sick, you might end up with an illness, you might have to take some kind of medication, who knows. But I'm here to tell you that you could fight through it and regain what you were. And it's going to be difficult. It might be difficult. It might be a very hard time. But yeah, they say that, and it's a fact, imagination, right? Your imagination is the bridge between worlds. That is the one thing that you have that keeps you holding on. And even though I said I had lost my abilities, let me make it a bit more clearer. Of course, I was able to imagine things, but it was without the ability to go in like I want to and interact and do things. It was as if I could try to explain it, imagine you have like a window or a mirror. I was able to look in, but I couldn't interact. Yeah, that's probably one of the best ways to put it. I was able to view, I was able to see, I was able to see everything that was going on, but there was no interaction. I was cut off from engaging as I used to do. It completely stripped me of everything. So the imagination is the bridge, right? It's the bridge between worlds. Through the imagination, I was able to see it. Remember I said in the last video that things go on in the background and you're just aware of it. I was aware of everything that was happening. I just couldn't get to it and take part in it. And who knows why? Obviously, it has something to do with the vaccine. And like I said, I'm not going into whether the vaccine was good or not, or should we get it or not. That's for you guys to decide whether it was good for you or not. I already told you why I got it and what the reason was, and that was it. I was concerned about family members and having to get to them in a sufficient amount of time. But yeah, that's what happened. So I'm gonna finish it up here. But the point of the story is, even if you lose your powers or you think that you lost them, you don't really lose them, but you may have to just push a little bit harder. And I would even say, if you do feel that something's happened, whether it's stress, whether it's a sickness, whether something's happened to you physically or mentally, and you feel like you're cut off, the imagination is always going to be your bridge or your doorway back. That's the starting point. And from there is how you start reaching out, and you got to get creative. Everyone's different. I found my way back in, even though it took some time, but hey, that's just what happens, right? And I could have easily just given up. And it was so bad to the point where I didn't think I wanted to give up, but you do have these thoughts that are saying like, oh man, what's the point of all this? Maybe you're just crazy. Maybe this is all just bullshit you're talking about. But when those thoughts would happen, I would get glimpses of what was really going on, and it gave me hope to come back and not give up. And yeah, push through. And basically, to finish on this, what happens is, if you ever reach that point in your life, or you don't have to get sick and be half dead to get it, you can push your abilities to the point where you will never have that type of experience again. I went so deep into my soul, my entity, my consciousness, that the main goal was, and this was the goal, and I'm going to finish on this one. The goal was to never be cut off ever again. And there was something that I was searching for that would give me the power to where no matter what happened, whether it was another vaccine, which I'm not doing, but whether it was another vaccine or it was anything, I said, I have to find a point. There's somewhere. And my inner self helped me find it. There was something somewhere within inner reality that if you could achieve it and if you could feel it, is basically a guarantee that you will never be cut off again, regardless of what happened. You could get the 10 vaccines, they could have you chained up, they could be torturing you. But yeah, it's basically a type of fail-safe that if you could understand it psychologically and mentally and emotionally and through your soul and through your entity, it's a type of feeling that if you get it, no one could ever take it away from you, or nothing could take it away from you. And that's what I found. And that's when I thought, and I knew, I was confident enough to come back here to start talking to you guys. So that's a bit of backstory. I got to finish it up now. But let me know what you think. Comment down below. Subscribe if you're looking at this. If you see me on a shorts video or something, please subscribe. I appreciate the few new people who have joined. Welcome to the family. You're here. Congratulations, you found it. These videos might not... Let me just say that real quick. I know I keep saying this, but this is it. The videos are not meant for everyone. If you found yourself on this channel, if you found yourself here with us and with me talking, you were meant to be here, and consider yourself one of the cool kids. I'll just play it around. But yeah, you know what I'm trying to say, man. The way I have it set up, it's not that easy to just find me on YouTube. So if something just popped up for you, that means it was meant for you. All right, I gotta get out of here. Subscribe. Let me know what you think. Like the video. And yeah, I'll come back with some more. Take care, guys.